Good evening, everyone. Welcome to MJ's Maths and Stats. That's MJ Magic Studio to you. And in this session, every night, 9 o'clock, I'm here on the channel along with you to solve previous years, previous terms, DCS, Ninja, and digital on campus questions along with you. Since this examination is going to knock your door very soon, so be with us every night 9 o'clock 9 p.m. and solve few questions. Hope it will help you out during your examination. On this note, let's begin now. Welcome everyone again, and on the lines of TCS Digital and Ninja, let's do few more questions. For the season of 2021 and 2022 pass out, TCS Ninja have announced their dates, registration has started, and online remote center or on center examination would be conducted from 30th of August. So let's gear up now and begin. How many values of C in a quadratic equation result in rational roots which are integers? First of all, what are integers? What are rational roots? Any number whose square, if it is greater than equals to 0, we call it real numbers, or any number which can be plotted on real number line from minus infinity to plus infinity, we call it real numbers. Now real numbers are of two types: rational, irrational. Any number which can be written in the form p by q, where q is not equals to 0 and p, q are relatively prime to each other, then that number is known as rational, otherwise it is irrational. Example of irrational we know: surds like root 2. But root 16 is not irrational. Why? Because it is a perfect square of some number. Pi, e, all are irrational. Now in rational numbers we have got integers. Now when a rational number is called an integers? When p is numerical multiple of q, then obviously p by q will take a form where the denominator will become 1 and it will be an integer. An integer can be positive integer, an integer can be negative integers. So that's the normal number tree line. For detailed number tree, a link is given in the description. You please go through it. It is a decimal number system tree where all different kinds of numbers are discussed. Coming back to our question, how many values of C in this result in rational roots which are integers? So if I equate this with 0 and I see a is equals to 1, and if I compare with the standard quadratic equation, that is ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0, a is 1, b is minus 5 and c is c. Then the value of the discriminant b square minus 4ac would be 25 minus a is 1, c is c, that is minus 4c. If this is 0, then c is equals to 25 by 4, that is 5 by 2. When c is 5 by 2, roots would be equal. When c is 5 by 2. And what would be the equal roots? In that case, alpha and beta would be equals to minus b by a, that is 5. That means we will get an integral value. Roots are integer if c is equals to 5 by 2. then alpha and beta would be simply minus b by 2a, sorry. So it should be 5 by 2. Those are not integer root. That is not integer. Now alpha and beta will take the shape of minus b plus minus root over b square minus 4ac by 2a. Instead of 2a, I'm writing 2. Rational roots. Roots are said to be rational when discriminant b square minus 4ac is positive, obviously, and is a square number. That is 25 minus 4c should be a square number. We can start with 1. 1 is a square number. Then in this case, c would be equals to 6. Correct? This will get as 1. Then it would be 5 plus 1, 6 by 2. We can get a value 3 as root. Or 5 minus 1. First we'll get 5 plus 1 by 2, that is 3, and then we'll get 5 minus 1 by 2, that is 4. If I make this square number 4, it won't be divisible. Then 9, 25 minus 9 is 16. Correct. C would be equals to 4. This would be equals to 9. Then we'll have 5 plus 9, 14 by 2, 7. Then we'll have 5 minus 9 minus 4 by 2 minus 2. All are integers. Then if I make this 25, then C will be equals to 0. If C is equals to 0, it is 25, that is 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. Fine. 5 plus 5. That means what? Here we have got 2 values, then we have got 2 values, then we can have one more value. That means we can have more values than 4. We can have more values than 4. We can have many values. None of the above. Actual answers should be infinite values of C are possible, for which would result in rational roots, which are also integers. A white cube with 6 faces is painted red on 2 different faces. How many different ways can this be done? 2 paintings are considered same if on a suitable rotation of a cube, one painting can be carried to the other. See, on a cube, we have got 6 faces, we know that. Suppose this is how the cube open up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we have 1 and 3 in the opposite, 2 and 4 in the opposite, 5 and 6 in the opposite. If I face up 1 and 2, if I color on 1 and 2, because only 2 different faces are painted, then we can see that 1 and 2 are adjacent sides. So first coloring can be on the adjacent sides. So if I color on 1 and 3, that will be second coloring on opposite sides. Now on a white cube, you rotate it any other way, when with reference to one particular face, either you have an adjacent face or you have an opposite face, and there is no third kind of face related to one particular face on a cube. Either it's a sideways, that is adjacent, or opposite. So in only 2 ways you can color it up, any 2 faces with red, so that whatever rotation you do, you end up getting the same sequence always. Answer is 2, option A. A drawer holds 4 red heads and 4 blue heads. What is the probability of getting exactly 3 red heads, probability of 3 red, or exactly 3 blue heads, while taking out 4 heads randomly out of a drawer and immediately returning every head to the drawer before taking out the next? We can very easily use binomial distribution here. Binomial distribution probability, where probability of x is given by fx, that is ncx small p to the power x q to the power n minus x. In our case, n is 4, 4 heads are taken out. Small p is 4 and 4, okay, 4 by 8, that is half. That means whenever a head is taken out, either it would be a red or a blue head. So q is probability of failure, that is 1 minus half, that is also equals to half. So now probability of 3 reds, if I take x as a probability of getting red head, that would be equals to 4c3 half to the power 3 into half to the power 4 minus 3, that is 1. 4c3 is 4, so it would be 4 upon 2, 3, 8, 16, that is 1 by 4. Okay. Probability of getting 3 black means probability of getting only 1 red. Okay, same. 3 black means 1 red if 4 heads are drawn, because x is taken as number of red heads drawn. So it would be 4c1 1 by 2 to the power 1 into 1 by 2 to the power 3. 4c1 is also 4, 4 by 16, that is 1 by 4. So our total probability is 1 by 4 plus 1 by 4, 2 by 4, that will give us half. So probability of drawing exactly 3 red heads or exactly 3 blue heads. Exactly 3 red means there would be 1 blue, and exactly 3 blue means there would be 1 red, that is half. 1 by 2, that features in option B. Okay, question on permutation combination with a story format is always there. We know that in each session we are doing the similar kind of question again and again. It's all just to practice. But whenever we read these kind of question, everything comes clearly to us. As simple as that. Mrs. and Mr. Smith have invited 9 of their friends. 9 friends and their spouses. That means they have invited 18 people. And they to themselves make 20 people in the group for a party at Waikiki Beach Resort. So there are 20 people. They stand for a group photograph. If Mr. Smith never stands with Mrs. Smith, how many ways the group can be arranged in a row for a photograph? It's as simple as for the row. And all people are different, we know that. So how we can arrange all the people without any restriction in a row where 20 different items are there and all need to be taken together? So total cases would be simply 20p20, that is factorial 20. Now Mr. and Mrs. Smith are not going to stand together. So let us make them stand together. So if Mr. and Mrs. Smith are standing together, then in how many ways they can get themselves clicked? We know the group effect formula is n minus g plus 1 factorial into factorial g, where g is the group size. Here in our question, our group size is 2 because 2 people are standing together. Correct. So that would be 20 minus 2 plus 1 into factorial 2. That is 2 into factorial 19. Now they have asked that they should not be standing together. So that means total cases minus standing together will give not standing together. Not together. Factorial 20 minus 2 into factorial 19. If I take factorial 19 common, here I'll get 20 minus 2. That will give me 18 into factorial 19. And yes, that features in option A. Now, as said, surface mathematical reasoning questions are always there in these type of examination, where we need to identify there itself what kind of formula it can hold. And in these cases, mathematics doesn't work, but the reasoning shall. A square was given. Inside the square, there are white tiles and black tiles. Black tiles were among the diagonal of the squares. and dimension of both white as well as black tile is 1 centimeter into 1 centimeter. If there are 81 black tiles in the square, then find the number of white tiles. Let's suppose this is our square of 3 by 3. Then black tiles are on the diagonal. So here I see that when n is equals to 3, or number of rows and number of columns is equals to 3, number of black tiles is equals to 5. If I make another square 4 by 4, black, 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 black. So when n is equals to 4, number of black tiles are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here goes the concept. If number of rows and columns are odd, the number of black tiles which are placed on the diagonal would be simply equals to 2n minus 1. And if n is even, number of black tiles placed on the diagonal should be simply equals to 2n. That is, it will be an even number of black tiles, and in this case it should be an odd number of black tiles. Now it's given that there are 81 black tiles in the square. That means in our square, if number of rows and number of columns is n, then number of black tiles should be 2n minus 1. That is given as 81. Why I am using this formula? Because 81 is odd. That means 2n is 82. N is equals to 41. The square with which we are dealing with have 41 rows and 41 columns. That means total number of squares in our squares, the 41 row and 41 column square is 41 square. 41 square is 1681. So there are 1681 tiles, out of which only 81 are black tiles, minus the black tiles. So we have got 1600 white tiles. Now let us see what is the question asked. If there are 81 black tiles, then find the number of white tiles. Number of white tiles should be 1600. That is in option A. As said, Ninja digital question paper, you might find many surface reasoning based questions. This is one of such. In 2 bags, there are to be put together 5 red and 12 white balls. We have got 17 balls and we need to put it in 2 bags. Neither bag being empty. How must the balls be divided so as to give a person who draws 1 ball from either bag the least chance of drawing the red ball? So here we have few red and here we have few black or white for this instance. Here we have got a few red and here we have got few white, such that probability of getting a red ball would be R1 upon that is, we are taking 1 ball, so it would be R1 upon R1 plus W1 plus R2 upon R2 plus W2 into half. Why into half? Because we would be choosing only 1 ball, one bag, and then a ball is drawn from it. So this value should be minimum. It's a plus sign, and obviously none of these fractions are negative. That means to make this minimum, one of the fraction should be reduced to 0. That is the smallest value of fraction which we can get. And how we can get this? When there is no red ball in one of the bags. Suppose there is no red ball in one of the bags, then automatically this R1 will become 0. This part will become 0. This fraction will be reduced. Number 1. Number 2, to make the probability of red ball least, if there is no red ball in this, let it be in the next bag, there are all red balls. Fine. Now, the probability of red ball to be least, number of white balls that should be assigned in this particular bag should also be least. Why? Because if we assign maximum white balls to it, then the probability of getting red from the second bag will start increasing. So to make this probability of red from the second bag to be again minimum, we should make sure that we have got maximum number of white balls along with the red balls, isn't it? And we have got 12 white balls. Maximum number of white balls that can be along with this red ball in this particular bag is 11, because neither of the bag is empty. In the first bag, I'll put only one white ball. So it should be first bag, one white ball, and second bag, 5 red balls and 11 white balls. Probability of getting red ball would be minimum. It should be half into 0 plus 5 by 16. That would be 5 by 32. If they have asked you that what would be the probability of drawing a red ball, the minimum probability of drawing a red ball, then in case it should be 5 by 32, and the process is only one white ball in one bag and other ball in second bag or another bag. That should be the allocation, such that the probability of getting red ball would be least, and that would be 5 by 32. Now the same question, but here the question is, what is the greatest chance of drawing a red ball? And if we take our discussion from question number 2886 further on, greatest chance of drawing a red ball, we know the fraction. It was R1 upon R1 plus W1 plus R2 upon R2 plus W2 into half. That is the probability of getting a red ball. Try to make one of the fraction as maximum as possible. That is only possible when one of the bag holds only red. So in one of the bags, I'll try to keep only red ball and there is no white ball. All the white balls should be transferred to other bag. Now, we need to increase the probability of red from this. That will be always 1. We know that because there is only red ball here. But we also try to decrease the probability of white in this particular second bag. To decrease the probability of choosing white from the second particular bag, we should also start increasing the number of red balls in this bag. And the maximum number of red balls which can be kept in bag 2 is 5 minus 1, that is 4. Keep one red ball in one of the bag and keep all other balls in the second bag. You will see that you will get the maximum probability of drawing red. That would be half into, in this case, there is only red, that is 1 by 1 plus 4 by 16. That is 1 by 4 by 16. How many white balls we have? 12, correct. So it would be half into 5 by 4, that would be 5 by 8. The maximum probability of getting red would be 5 by 8 if we distribute balls like this. That is one red in one bag and others in second bag. Again, repetitively, I am saying you, please try to solve mathematical reasoning based question as much as possible, because the trend is to ask you questions in which you should be applying more of reasoning rather than just putting in formula and moving on. TCS questions. In the formula of converting temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit, F equals to 9C by 5 plus 32 is used. How many integral value, not fraction, only integers, of f will be there that lies between 100 to 200 for integral value of c. That means f and c both should be an integer value. Fair enough? Good. So here we can see that it is plus 32. This is 9c by 5. This c should be multiple of 5, or else f would not be an integer. As simple as that. So what should be the first value of c so that the value of f is just greater than 100? We can use 100 minus 32 is like 68. Now something, this value should be 68. 9, if I divide this by 9, that is 7 plus. So value of c should be 7 plus c by 5, that is 80. So let us start c with 40. If c is 40, f would be 9 into 8, 72 plus 32, that is 104. So the first value of f, which lies between 100 to 200, is 104, and it will be attainable when c is 40. Both are integers. Now next value would be 72 plus 9, that is 81. That means when c is equals to 45, c need to be multiple of 5. We know that. When c is 45, it would be 81 plus 32. That comes to 113. So we can see that now this value will start increasing by 9 and the value of c will start increasing by 5. Fair enough. We need only values between 100 to 200. We can count it. 104, 113, and keep on adding plus 9 to it. 122, 131, 140, 149, 9958, 157. Yes, 950, 158, 167, 176, 185, and 194. Now we would be more than 200. We can count on fingers because these are the small ranges given, or we can use the AP concept if a large range is given. So, and this is at c equals to 40, so this will be at 45, 50, 55, 60 and on. But the question asked is only how many integral values of f will be there that lies between 100 and 200. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 it is. Option B fits in. Yes, deliberately I've selected a reasoning based question in this particular session because we need to practice this. Believe me. Exactly, we need to. Let's see. It's look like such a simple, but if we start developing concept around it, it's all reasoning. There is no formula to it. The product of digits is a factor of a 2-digit number. Number of such integers is, we have a 2-digit number, let it be xy, then the 2-digit number is 10x plus y. Now product of digits is a factor, that means this number is divisible by x into y. Now if I divide my number 10x plus y by x plus y, what I'll get? I'll get 10 by y plus 1 by x as the return, where x and y are the integers. Now we know that this return should be an integer because it is fully divisible. That means this return should be an integer and there should not be any remainder left. In which instance it would be possible? Number 1, y is a factor of 10, then it is possible. And what are the factors of 10? We have 1, 2, 5 and 10. And one more thing, y is a digit, single digit number. Y should not be equals to 10, obviously. So if I take y as factors of 10, this 1 by x should also be an integer. So along with that, the value of x should be only 1. First case. So let us put these values and check. When x is 1 and y is also 1, quite possible, we'll get number 11. 11, that is 10 plus 1, 11, is divisible by 1 into 1. Fine. When x is 1, y is 2. So number which we will be having is 12. 12 is divisible by 1 into 2, that is 2. With 1, we will have 5, 15. 15 is divisible by 1 into 5, that is 5. Fair enough. So these are the three cases from the case 1 which we can have. Second case, if I take x equals to 2 and if I make it half, then I need this value also as half. That means in place of y, I should have 2. Fine. And it should not be divisible by the number in the top. But 10 itself is 2 into 5. So I can start with 4. If y is equals to 4, what I'll get? 24. 24 is divisible by 2 into 4, that is 8. Bingo. I need another 2 here, but here 10 is only 2 into 5, already taken up 4. If I take 5 here, already taken up 5. If I take 6 here, then I'll end up getting what? 3. If I take y equals to 6, I'll get what? 5 by 3. Fine. Y is equals to 6, sorry. Can't take 3. Then 10 by 6 will become 5 by 3. To make this a whole number, this should be 1 by 3. So this will become whole number 2. So x is 3, y is 6. Shall we try? 36 is divisible by 6 into 3, that is 18. Fine. Now again, if I take here 8, I'll get what? 5 by 4. 5 by 4, but here if I take x equals to 4, it is only 1 by 4. I should have what? 3 by 4 to make it divisible by 5 by 4. No other option shall fit in more. 11, 12, 15, 24, 36. Option B fits in. Let function mn is 45m plus 36n. We have a function 45m plus 36n. I can see something is common. 9 is common. 5m plus 4n. Where m and n are integers, both positive and negative, what is the minimum possible value? Minimum positive value of the function for all values of m and n. This may be achieved for various values of m and n. I need a positive return, and it is multiple of 9. And the minimum positive return has to be 9 when this can be converted into 1. The smallest positive value of the factor 5m plus 4n can be 1. Yes, it can be 1. M is equals to 1 and n is equals to minus 1. M and n are integers, both negative and positive. So that will be 5 minus 4, that is 1. So it should be 9 into 1, that is 9. Minimum positive value of the function fmn would be when m is 1 and n is minus 1. That should be 9. Below that, it would be 0. But 0 is neither positive nor negative. Na? That's why we are not considering making this 0. Yeah, this can be easily make 0. Na? 5 into minus 4 plus 4 into 5 will make it 0. This expression will be 0, but that is not positive. So minimum positive value has to be 9 because m and n both are integers. Option A fits in. what is the maximum value of v to the power x minus y into z if the value of v, x, y, z have to be chosen from a set where set A, this should be A, where set A have these numbers. Now if I use them in repetitive way, I can see if I take v, the maximum value is 3 to the power 3 is 27, and if I choose here 0 also, but none of the option is given as 27, then it is quite obvious that these numbers need to be taken only once. That's clear. We cannot repeat these digits, or else 3 to the power 3 would be 27, and we might end up getting value 27 or higher than 27 if these value can be repeated. But none of the option is more than 27, these value can't be repeated. Now let me try to maximize v to the power x. I'm looking out for maximum value, so it would be 3 to the power 2 minus, now I'm left with 1 positive, 0, I will not try to introduce 0 here, or else the maximum value would be reduced to 9 only. And I'll try to use negatives, because negative into negative will give me a positive value. So if I take y as 1 and z, the least negative is minus 3, so this will give me 9 plus 3, that is 12, which I can have if I use these numbers only once. Then maximum value of the expression can land up to 12, that is in option B. As said, a session without a reasoning-based surface mathematical reasoning question is not a test of Ninja or Digital. We'll always end up getting these kind of questions where reasoning plays an important part. How many such 4 consecutive numbers are there less than 1000 when added gives a sum which is divisible by 10, and an example is given like 16 plus 17 plus 18 plus 90 is 70, which is divisible by 10. Now if we see, take up the first 4 numbers consecutive, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, that is 10, it is divisible by 10. And then 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 is 30, which is also divisible by 10. So any 4 consecutive numbers, obviously which ends with 1, 2, 3, 4, will sum up to give you a number whose last digit would be 0, and any number which ends with 6, 7, 8, 9 when combined will sum up to give last digit 0, and that sum will be also divisible by 10. So between 1 to 100, if we see how many such pairs are there, from 1 to 10 we have got 2 pairs. Similarly, from 11 to 20 we will again have 2 pairs, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. Again from like 21 to 30, again we will have 2 pairs. That means between 1 to 100 we have got 2 into 10, that is 20 pairs. Similarly, from 101 to 200, again we will have 20 of such pairs. And we need to go till 1000 only. That means from 901 to 1000, again we will have 20 of such pairs. 20 of pairs means 20 of those 4 consecutive numbers. Here pairs means not 2 numbers, 4 in the team. So how many such 4 consecutive numbers are there? 20, 20, 20, 20. How many times we have taken? 10 times. So 20 into 10 is 200 of such 4 consecutive numbers are there with us, which when add up are divisible by 10. Option A fits in. How many 2 digits number are there such that the product of their digits after reducing it to the smallest form is a prime number? An example is also given. For example, if we take 98, then 9 into 8, we are multiplying the digit, would be 72, then 7 into 2, 14, then 1 into 4, 4. We end up getting a single digit number 4, which is not a prime number. But we are looking out for such two-digit number which will end up in a prime number. And one consideration is also given. Consider only 4 prime number 2, 3, 5, 7, and that is the biggest hint with which we can start finding these numbers. My end result should be 2. How my end result should be 2? It is only possible when it is like 1 into 2. And with 1 into 2, I can end up having number 12 and 21. 1 into 2 is 2. 2 into 1 is also 2. Okay. 3, how I can get 3? 3 into 1. So I have digits 1, 3 and 3, 1. For 5, I can have 1 into 5. So 15 and 51 both will end with 5. For 7, I can have 1 into 7. 17 and 71 both are two-digit number, which when multiplied will end up and give me 7. So these are the first primary basic number whose product will end up in a prime number which is given to us. Now from here we can start extracting. 12. How we can get 12? 12 is 4 into 3. Correct? So that means we can also have numbers 43 and 34 which will end in 12 and then 12 will end in 2. Now we have got 21. 21 is 7 into 3. So again we can have numbers like 37 and 73 whose product will end in 21 and then 21 will end up with 2. Now 13 is prime number, 31 is prime, 15. We can check for 15. 15 is 5 into 3. So I can have numbers 35 and 53 which will end in 15 and 15 will end in 5. Okay. Now 51 would be 3 into 17. But 17 is not a single digit number. So no two digits multiplication will give 51. Okay. So yes, 12. We can also get 12 with the 6 and 2. So we can have 26, 62. Now we move on to 35. 35 is 5 into 7. So we can have 75. We can have 57 also. 17 is prime, 71 is prime. 75 no two-digit multiplication, 57 no two-digit multiplication. Here we have introduced 26. 26 no two-digit multiplication will give 26 and 62 also 2 into 31. So how many we end up getting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 is in option A. That is the answer. There are 18 two-digit numbers which when continuously multiplied with their digits will end up getting prime numbers. Those are 2, 3, 5 and 7. Roy is now 4 years older than Eric. So Roy's age is Eric plus 4. And half of that amount older than Iris. Roy is Iris plus 2. If in 2 years, after 2 years, Roy will be, so Roy's age after 2 years would be R plus 2, will be twice as old as Eric. Twice as old as Eric, and Eric will also be 2 years older after 2 years. Now R is E plus 4, so I can use it here. E plus 4 plus 2 is 6 equals to E plus 4. That means E is equals to 2. So current age of Roy is E plus 4, that is 4 plus 2 is 6 years. And then Iris would be R 6 minus 2, that is 4 years, and Eric today is 2 years. These are the present age. Then in 2 years, what would be Roy's age multiplied by Iris' age? Roy age in 2 years would be 8 years, and Iris' age in 2 years would be 6 years, and they are asking for the multiplication of these two. 8 into 6 is 48. That features in option B. What is the remainder when the given expression is divided by 30? If we see, the given expression is in the form of a to the power n plus b to the power n plus c to the power n plus d to the power n. It's an algebraic expression, and this expression is divisible by a plus b plus c plus d if n is odd. Here we can see that n is 3 and a plus b plus c plus d is 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9, 15, 15, that is 30. That means 6 cube plus 7 cube plus 8 cube plus 9 cube is divisible by 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9, that is 30. Now this is what we have. Question is, what is the remainder when this expression E is divisible by 30? We know that expression E is actually divisible by 30. That means remainder should be 0, and that is in option D. In how many ways can we distribute 10 identical pencils to 4 students so that each student gets at least one pencil? Suppose we have got n identical objects which needs to be grouped in R different groups. Here it is 4 student, it can be 4 group, 4 boxes, but it should be different. As 4 students, all 4 students are different. That's why different word is not given. So that at least one object is in this group. And identical objects to be divided into R different groups such that at least one object is in one group. That means no group is empty. Straight away we can use formula n minus 1 C R minus 1. And now a simple explanation that how. So I'll take this example itself. First of all, suppose we have a 10-meter cloth and I need to give this cloth to 4 people, and I have a scissor. Suppose this is a scissor. Then where and how many cuts I should put on this cloth so that I can get 4 parts? Not necessarily equal parts. We are not talking about equal parts. All parts should be of integral length. That also should be maintained. It cannot be in dots, centimeter. All should be in meter, integral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suppose anything. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So this is the 10-meter cloth. Then how many times I need to use my scissor so that I can get 4 parts? If I use this here for the first time, then here for the second time, then here for the third time, and I'll see that when I'm using my scissor for the third time, automatically the 4th part is there with us. No more scissoring is required. So to cut this 10-meter length cloth into 4 parts of equal, unequal size, whatever it is, I just need to use my scissor. How many times? 3 times. Correct? Now, what are the different places where the scissors can be used? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only at these 9 marks I can use my scissors. So now what is my job? Just to identify out of these 9 marks, group of 3s, because I need to take 3 at a time, and that many types of cutting I can have, isn't it? So if I have 10-meter cloth need to be distributed among 4 different people, I just need to make cuts only 3 times, and these 3 cuts need to be selected out of these 9 cut points. In how many ways it can be done? 9 C3 ways. That is 9 into 8 into 7 by 6. 3, 2 will give 4. 12 into 7 is 84. In 84 ways this can be done. Mind you, at least 1 pencil should be given to a student. At least 1 meter should be available for each public, each student which we have. And if we see how 9C3, this is nothing but 10 minus 1 C 4 minus 1, which fits in the formula n minus 1 CR minus 1. N identical objects need to be divided into R different groups such that not a single group is empty, can be distributed in n minus 1 CR minus 1 ways. Option A fits in. N is an integer and n is greater than 2, 3, 4, 5. At most, how many integer among 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 consecutive numbers are prime number? So if I take n equals to 3, the consecutive numbers which I have would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 number. Out of which 5 and 7, these two are prime numbers. If I start with 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, then 2 prime numbers. Maximum prime numbers out of the 6 consecutive numbers would be only 2. Maximum. Or 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Maximum prime number will end up getting 2. And they are looking out for at most. It would be 2. It cannot be 3. We haven't heard about triple prime set. We have twin prime set where the difference between 2 prime numbers is 2. But triple prime set is not there. No 3, then no 4, obviously. So maximum prime numbers that we can get in 6 consecutive numbers is 2. If n is greater than 2, we can have this series like 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Here, only 1 we are getting. So we are talking about a maximum. So maximum would be 2. Option A, I'll choose. If a 3-digit number x is in octal form, okay, we have a 3-digit number ABC and it is in octal form, and having 0 as unit place, that means this number is actually AB0 and it is in octal form. And since it is in octal form, that means the base system is 8. The highest value of A or B can be 7. So A and B has to be less than or equals to 7. So they can be any digit from 0 to 7. They cannot be more than 7 because it's in octal form. Now we have a 3-digit number in octal form, AB0, because 0 as the unit place. Then if we change that number x in decimal form, then what is the probability that number x having 0 as unit place. Now if I convert this number into decimal format, now AB0 in 8 when written in decimal format, it should be a square into a plus 8 to the power 1 into b plus 8 to the power 0 into 0. That is 64a plus 8b, or it can be written as 8 into 8a plus b. Now, what are the values a can take? Any value from 0 to 7. That means a can take 8 values. And how many values can b can take? Any value from 0 to 7. That means 8 values again. That means how many values can a and b together take? So total cases what we have with us would be 8 into 8, that is 64 cases. We can have 64 numbers of the form AB0. Fine, it can be 0, 0, 0. That doesn't make any sense though, but that is again a case. Now we are looking out for such values of a and b such that when put, this becomes a number which ends with 0. Let's start putting up values. If I put a0 and b0, it will become 8 into 0. If I put a1, then it would be 8. 8 plus 2, 1 and 2. 8 plus 2 is 10, which will give me, if I put a equals to 2, 16 plus 4, so it would be 2 plus 4, 24, 3, 24 and 6, 30, so that would be 3, 6. Then 4, 32, 8 cannot be taken, 5, 5, 0, yes, 5, 0 can be there. 6 is 48 and 2, 62. Then 7, 56 and 4, 74. Then 8, I'm not using 8 again. Now again, if I can have 5 here, 5 into 8 is again 40, which will also give me 0 at the end. 1 is 8 plus 7, 15. 1, 7 will give me 40 at the end, 0. Then 324 and 1. 3, 1 will also give me 5. 432 and 3 will also give me 5. So how many numbers are there for a and b which will either give me 0 here or 5 here when multiplied by 8 will also end up getting 0. Again 5 is 40 and 5, 45. Wonderful. A is 5 and b is 5. Then 6 is 48 and 7. 6 and 7. I can't move further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Why to avoid 0, 0? Because 0, 0, 0 doesn't make any sense. 0 in an octal number, but it's as given it is a 3-digit number. I will avoid taking 0, 0, 0 because that is not a number. So out of 64 cases, what we can have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cases are favorable. But again, we don't have the entire 64 cases as total cases, because in this 64 cases 0, 0, 0 is also inclusive, which doesn't give us a 3-digit number in X. Again, since X is a 3-digit number, it's quite obvious that if it is a 3-digit number of this form, A cannot be 0. So total cases are not 64. You need to understand that. total cases would be A can take any value from 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and B can take any value from 0 to 8. So total cases we have is 56 only, out of which 11 are favorable. So required probability is 11 by 56. Answer, none of the above fits in. 11 by 56 is the answer. Don't mark on 11 by 64. Probability of Ronaldo scoring a penalty is twice then probability of missing it. So probability of scoring plus probability of missing should always be equals to 1, that we know. Probability of happening plus probability of not happening is 1. Now it is given that probability of scoring is twice the probability of missing. That means P is equals to twice M. That means 2M plus M is 1. That gives M equals 1 by 3, and then P equals 2 by 3. P means probability of scoring, M means probability of missing. In a World Cup, he take 5 penalties. What is the probability of scoring 3 penalties among the 5? We can use binomial distribution to solve this kind of question. Probability that of getting X is given by NCX, small p to the power X, Q to the power N minus X, where N is number of time and the experiment is done. Here it is 5. 5 times he will shoot a penalty. And then X is the favorable number of times it would happen, that is 3. Small p is probability of success. Here probability of success is 2/3, that is scoring a penalty. And Q is probability of no success, that is 1 minus p, which is 1 by 3 in this case. That means probability of hitting 3 penalties is 5C3 into 2 by 3 to the power 3 into 1 by 3 to the power 5 minus 3. Now 5C3 is 5C2, that is 5 into 4 by 2. 5 into 4 by 2 will end up getting 10 into 2 by 3 to the power 3 into 1 by 3 to the power 2. Let us see where it fits in. 5 into 2 is 10. 2 by 3 to the power 3 into 1 by 3 to the power 2. Option A fits in. Okay, a question on remainder. We need to find the remainder when an expression is divided by 64 to end this session. On this note that these sessions were helpful to you. Let us see what's there. Find the remainder. 4 into factorial 4 plus 5 into factorial 5 till 19 into factorial 19 is divided by 64. Now when we look at 64, 64 is 8 into 8. That means this number can very easily divide 8 into factorial 8. 8 into factorial 8 is divisible by 64. Then 9 into factorial 9, is it divisible by 64? Here we will have 9 into, this would be 9 into factorial 8. Now factorial 8 is what? Factorial 8 is 8 into 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now if we look at factorial 8, we have got an 8, we have got a 4, we have got a 2. That means factorial 8 itself is fully divisible by 64. And factorial 8 and above, any factorial is divisible by 64. That means our expression ends up to 4 into factorial 4 plus 5 into factorial 5 plus 6 into factorial 6 plus 7 into factorial 7. This only need to be divided by 64. We are looking out for the remainder for this particular expression only. Because 8 into factorial 8 and further any factorial are clearly fully divisible by 64. Now let's take up this one by one quickly. 4 into 24 when divided by 64, this is 16, 8 times 2 and 3, we end up getting remainder 1 into, it was divided by 32. Here we'll get remainder 32. 4 factorial 4 when divided by 64, remainder is 32. Similarly, 5 into 120 by 34, that would be 8 times 8. Yes, 8, 8 and 8, 15. 15 into 5 is 75. 75 when divided by 8 leaves remainder 3. So here remainder would be 3 into 8, that is 24. 6 into 720 by 64. 2 will give me 3. Then 2, 360. Then 2, 180. 290, 4 and 2. So 45 into 3, I'll end up getting remainder 1, but reduced by 32. So remainder here would be 1 into 32. 32 straight away. 7 into 5040 or 7 into 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 need to be divided by 2 into 2 into 2. Into 2 into 2 into 2. I'm just breaking it down and having fun with this. That's it. That's it. You can do it more quicker than this. 2, 2 gone 4. Then we have 2 to get a 3. So we have 4 here. 7 when divided by 4 leaves remainder minus 1 into minus 1. 3 will leave all again minus 1. 5 will leave 1. 3 will leave minus 1. So 1, 1, 1 minus 1. Remainder would be 1 into, it was 4, 16. Yes, 1 into 16. That would be 16. Sorry for the fun. So the total remainder what we end up getting is 32 plus 24 plus 32 plus 16. And that is 20, 30, 40 and 104. 104 when divided by 64 leaves remainder 40. Bingo! Option A fits in. You can do it in much less time. Since it was just to close the session, I was having fun with this. But do it quickly, do it smartly, and just do it. Believe on the reasoning part, believe on the content, believe on the concepts of mathematics. So answer is 40, and I hope this is clear with all of us. Thank you everyone for participating. Do keep on revising these kind of questions. That would be very helpful for you. I'm Mohit Jain signing off from MJ's Maths and Stats. That's MJ Magic Studio to you. In this hope, I'll see you soon again with higher difficulty level of questions. So we can prepare ourselves for any examination, be it Ninja, Digital, NQT or for any company. Thank you everyone for participating.